Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at the Microsoft Power BI UK user group. I'm your host, Pragati Jain, and today we are in for another opportunity to come together and learn on our favorite subject, Power BI, brought to you in association with Pomerol Partners. So, for today, we have Jeroen with us, who will be talking about monitoring sales activities with full Power Platform. Jorin is a Dutch ex business controller, ex business consultant, and since 2019, he's a business owner and CEO of Get Responsive, which is a training company specialized in Power BI and rest of the Power Platform. So, without waiting for any more, I'll just bring in Jorin in the stream so he can talk about his himself a lot. So, hi, Jorin, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, Prakati. Thank you for having me as a guest.
Oh, that's great. So how was your day today? Was it very busy or it was
Yeah,
quiet?
it was a nice day because it was a lot about video. So this afternoon I was a cameraman and a director to shoot a
Okay.
testimonial at a customer of us. And then at 3 o'clock UK time, I'm hosting my own weekly show on Power BI. And now I'm a guest, so I'm in different. All I think I had all different roles today.
Yeah, I think it looks like a full experience of experiencing different kind
Yeah,
of roles involved
yeah,
in a
exactly.
daily
I
life.
like it. So.
Wow, I'm so excited to have you here today because you're just going to talk about something amazing. So, Joren, I think let's not wait more because let's just start because I really want to hear like what you're going to talk about today, basically. So
All right.
let's just get your. So I'll just add your screen to the stream. So we have
Yeah,
you there. So okay, good luck,
perfect.
Joren, and yeah, I'm here. So if
Thank
anything
you.
goes wrong, I'll be there with you. So yeah, the stage is yours. Good luck.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions, then just put them in the comments in LinkedIn and YouTube. This is being streamed, I understand. So just put your comments there and I'll try to answer them. Um, Let me first introduce me a little bit further. Pragati already mentioned this. With Get Responsive, my company, we provide a lot of trainings. So we daily train people in Power BI, but also Power Apps and Power Automate. And like I already said, this afternoon I had my weekly show. So if you are curious to see some of that content, feel free to join my channel Get Responsive on YouTube. Most of the content is in Dutch, unfortunately, but we also last week, for example, we had Imke Veldman. Maybe some of you know her. She had a lot of tips and tricks on Power Query. So if you want to know more about that, I really invite you to watch that. Our weekly show is called Cat Response Live. Um, so what will I be covering in the next 60 minutes? Well, it will be mostly about me as a business owner, as a director, um, trying to create a solution using the Power Platform and using the different elements of the Power Platform. Um, I am not really a consultant myself anymore, so forgive me if I make very stupid mistakes or remarks. I'm more, yeah, I'm now sitting at also there at the other side of the table. I have been a controller and a consultant for about 25 years, but now I experience it to be like my own customer, having a very busy schedule, having a lot of calls, and trying in between maybe to create some solutions. So, yeah. Um, I should have disabled my Outlook. That was my first mistake. But let me close that now. Um, so I'm using the different elements. I want to show you an example of what I did and to share with you what went well and maybe where I struggled. And then from my own perspective. And I will come back to the ornithopter that you see in the picture later. um, so as you know, what's so cool about the Power Platform? That first, I think it's cool because I started using it since 2016 when I was a consultant at Heineken. I think it's nice because you can automate stupid, repetitive tasks. You can automate them in a way for reporting, for processes, without having to use a lot of code. Well, at first I added. I really like it that Microsoft now added in Power Apps not only the low code, no code anymore, for example, but now also they add pro code to to indicate okay maybe some code is required. And I like it really because yeah, you can have nice big ideas at first, but iteratively create your solutions and maybe fail in between, but learn from that. And that's what I like about this kind of solutions. And it's also the reason why 3 years ago I started my company in that. Um, as you probably already know, the Power Platform consists of these five. Some of them have added also dynamics or maybe other tools, but I think in general, these are currently the five tools that people associate with the Power Platform. Power BI, of course, but also Power Apps, where you can create your own apps, automate to automate your processes. Dataverse, the data storage, the data warehouse, maybe, where you yeah, can plug in the different solutions on the left-hand side, and Power Virtual Agent for creating chatbots. Now, I will not be covering further Power Virtual Agent, maybe in the next session, but I will be focusing on the first four. And maybe you've also seen this picture before. They all are related to each other. So they're all, yeah, you can use them. You can automate something with a press of a button in a dashboard. You can take a certain action based on an alert that is triggered in Power BI in your dashboard, etc. Now, you see here a nice example how Microsoft presents that also. Um, so in my demo, what I'll be showing is especially on sales activity because, yeah, we are. I always make the joke here. We're just like a real company here. So at first we did all our sales opportunities in Excel, of course, like a real startup should do. But after 1 or 2 years, we switched to a real customer relationship management program, and in our case, that's Pipedrive. So that's that letter P that you see, where we register all the leads, but also register all the activities on those leads. Um, we are a growing company, so we also have more salespeople. And I thought at a certain moment, wouldn't it be a nice scenario if I could have insight in the number of activities of our salespeople, not to reward or punish. Oh, you only did 25 activities today. Oh, that's disappointing because I'm not that type of manager, but just as an information source. Okay, what are we doing? Is it getting busier? Can we still handle it, etc. And what I did and what I will show you after this is that I can pick up any activity that's being done in the CRM system via Power Automate. That's the second column. Oh yeah, I had a nice transition for that. So in Automate, I pick up what is happening in Pipedrive. I store that in the Dataverse. So that's the bottom picture. It's unreadable, but I will show you in a minute in a large version, of course. And then in Power App, I can look at those activities and maybe add some information to it. So I will show you also how I did that. And of course, I have my own sales activity monitor. Even put my own name on it. That's embarrassing. But to track how is it going? What is the activity? And all these things can be nicely integrated into a single solution. But let's start with the beginning. Um, so the beginning is that here I have my activities in Pipedrive. So that's my CRM system. And here you see all the activities. And Viviana did a great job today because she finished all the activities. They're all marked as ready. But what we do in a system like this is that if one is closed, eh, I made a call, then hopefully there is always also a next activity. Because maybe the person said, yeah, I'm quite interested. Let me think about it. Or can you send me the brochure, the folder, and I'll get back to you in a week. Now, then we put the next activity in, check whether she liked the folder. So there's always a follow-up, hopefully. So all these activities are being registered here. And Pipedrive, like many cloud solutions, have an API. API is the generic term with which you can talk with these cloud solutions. It's not something you install, of course, it's in the cloud. And most of them are based on REST, and they have all these endpoints. Let's call them tables. Maybe that's not the right word, but Remember, I'm not a typical consultant. I'm a manager. So with this, you can query what's happening. And this you can use this API in the background within the Power Platform. What I first did is that I went to Dataverse. And when you go to Power Apps in your Office 365, you have, of course, there Power BI, but Power Apps and Automate are also there. And within Power Apps, if you go there, you can not only create apps, but you can also create tables in this, yeah, let's call it an online data warehouse. The nice thing about Dataverse is that you have already a lot of standard tables, which you could use. And there are also sales related tables in there. But I was a little bit, I wanted to create my own table, which you can easily do. You can create here a new table. You could even import it from, for example, an Excel sheet. So you have the columns already in Excel, and then it's being loaded, and you can make then adjustments. So I think I chose the Excel version, but then I can tweak it, and I called it sales activities. So that's a custom table within this Dataverse. Eh? Let me press the new table just that you see how it works. So here I could say demo UK. Test. And after the table has been created, you can add your own columns. So you can define the structure of this table. And I'm going to use it to load it with data and in Power BI to retrieve data from it. So this is the screen that is opening. Uh, but I think probably there will already be a lot of default. You see, there are already 19 columns in there because you have all these standard columns on when has it been changed, what is the status, dates and times when it is modified and created. So all these columns are already there. But here you can create your own columns also. So you can edit it here and you can add here a new column. So that's what I did also is that I have an activity ID and that's maybe a number or a text. So you can define it here column by column, a little bit like a SharePoint list maybe, but yeah, much more modern, a modern way of SharePoints. Don't ask me now what are the main advantages of Dataverse, but it's easier accessible, I think, than a SharePoint list. It's just a table in a database. So I'm not going to bother you creating this table, of course, but let me show you how in the end it looked. So here you see it. So I already added, of course, some activities. So these are activities that are already running in the past days, but I will show you that also new activities will be added here. You see some columns that are added, some remarks. All right, so this is a little bit the structure. These are the activities and who's the owner and when has it been created. Yeah. Um, Now I want to go to Power Automate because what I want to do is every time that a new activity is created here, I want to push it into this new Dataverse table. And for that, we can, of course, use Power Automate. With Automate, you can say always, okay, what's the trigger and what are the actions that have to be taken if this happens. So when you create a new flow in Power Automate, uh, you can do it automated. So that's what I'm going to use now because I want to do it automatically every time something happens in Pipedrive. You could, in theory, do it also by the press of a button, or also in Power BI, you can kick off an automation flow. That's also some sort of a button, right? Or you can schedule it, do it every day, this procedure. eh? And even you have desktop. Let me finish the list. Desktop is a separate Power Automate desktop. You can install that locally. And that's very handy if you want to automate key presses even. So maybe if a solution is not in the cloud, but on premise, locally installed, you could say, yeah, record the key presses you do, and yeah, do that as an automation So that's also interesting. But I'm using, I think the most commonly used, the automated. And let me show how that works. So here I say, for example, sales activity demo UK. And here you see the triggers. So I mentioned already, okay, if something happens, then do something else. You see already some examples also below. When a new email arrives, and then you can even define, but only if it's from this person or with this topic or with an attachment, then do this and this. So you can add conditions, of course, later on. But I'm going to use Pipedrive, which to my surprise is also a trigger within Power Automate. I'm not sure when it was added, but I was very happy to see it. Because at first I thought, oh, maybe I should use APIs or webhooks or complicated stuff that I don't understand, to be honest. No, it's already available here. And apparently there are two versions, so let's take the version 2. I think that's the safest. And then you see the start of your flow. So you see, when a new deal is added, oh, actually, I don't want a deal, I want an activity. Oh, so I made a mistake. Can I return back? Let's see if that works. Oh, then I go back. No, doesn't matter. Just start again. Pipedrive. And, oh yeah, new activity. So there are not two versions. I misread. There is one new activity I see now. Yeah, can happen. So activity flow UK, and I should have pressed this one, of course. So when new activity, then what do I want to do? Well, it would be fun, of course, to push the data.activity to Dataverse. So let's add a new step and let's look for Dataverse. And for Dataverse, you see all these um, actions that can be done. So based on that trigger, I can search a row, delete a row, get a row, add a row, etc., etc. There's a lot of possibilities apparently, which doesn't surprise me because Dataverse, of course, is Microsoft's solution. So in this case, I would like to add a row, add a new row. You see also here premium. Be aware that maybe you, or not maybe, you have to purchase an additional license for Power Automate because apparently it's not in the standard solution, not in the free solution. But you have to pay, and I think I had a sheet for that here. And so you have different plans for Power Automate. You could either pay it by per user per month. You also have additional things you can do. This RPA that you see here is mostly that desktop, that fourth item I was just mentioning. And if you go down, you even also have license per flow run. Well, I think I've picked the $15 one. So be aware that you have premium actions, unfortunately. So you pick, where is it? Add a new row, and then you can say, it's quite straightforward, I think. Okay, I'm logged in my Get Responsive account, so it already knows within my environment. Okay, these are the tables that you have to your disposal. So also my sales activity. I think I didn't save the other one, but so the sales activity I take that I created earlier. Um, and then you see all the columns that are in that table, and I can fill it with data. And also that is straightforward because when you click this field and you say, okay, this is the activity description, you see here all these Pipedrive fields that are retrieved when a new activity has been added. So I believe it's something with activity. Let me look for activity subject. Yeah. So the subject, that's the description. Maybe I should have named it the same. I can also say, okay, to which deal is this relating? And all these fields you can find. So here's the deal title. And so you can fill in all the different fields from my action in Pipedrive. So you can use all the steps before. You can use the fields from that to fill this in. Now, I'm not going to fill it in for the rest, but you get, I think, the thing. And what you could also do maybe, yeah, I also experienced in the last 3 years that don't have the patience to now always sit for a quarter of an hour to see, okay, how's it going with the activities? Let me analyze it all in detail. Now, sometimes I also like to have these push messages to say, okay, there's a new activity on this, because then I think, oh yeah, cool. This customer is still on our radar and we did some action on it. So maybe that's me, and maybe in a month's time I will be have a different view. But push messages for now, yeah, are okay for me in my way of working. So you could either use Teams, for example. I think I also start using Discord. But Discord, yeah, that was a little bit disappointing for me, because then that's then the first maybe thing until now that I thought, this I'm not gonna have time for to investigate myself. How are webhooks then working, and how do I tried a little bit last night, and when preparing this session, I thought, oh, that would be cool to push it to Discord. I had to give up. I didn't. I don't have the knowledge enough to make this work yet, and maybe I don't will never have it. But Teams is a default one, and I can say, well, create a message. So I can think I look for a channel here, and you have here post a message in a chat or a channel, and I can say here who pushes that message, and I want to push it into a channel which is in a certain get responsive team. And I made a new channel especially for this for this session called sales activity. So, and also here the message I can define myself. Hooray! We have a new activity. That's the standard text. And again, just like before, I can look either in Dataverse or in Pipedrive for that field. So now I could use the activity description because I filled it already before. I could say this is the and it is related to deal, because that's what the other field I filled, this one. So you see that you can reuse again also in your message um, these things. Um, is there something else I need to add to really test it? You see also here the stars, that these are the fields you have to fill in. Now, we're just gonna try it. Oh yeah, by the way, in Pipedrive, you have to relate it to a connection. So I already made at first a connection with an API key, which you can look up in Pipedrive. And then one time you create a connection. Now, what was one of the unfortunate things, also that I encountered yesterday, it is an API key that is per person. So I have a Pipedrive API, and a colleague of mine has an API key. And maybe I have to check with Pipedrive. Maybe there is also an overall key that I can use. That will be ideal for me, because now it looks a little bit strange that I have to have different flows for different people. So maybe if you're watching this and maybe you're aware of this kind of questions, leave it in the comments. Maybe you can help me out. But for this demo, it's good enough. But be aware that you can then switch the connection. So I now have two different flows that have the same result. Um, of course, I already did this before. So I did already a cat sales activities for Jeroen, which is similar. It's a slightly different message, but it's the same. I did it exactly the same as I just showed you. So this is the one that's really active, which has been tested, and you have to save it and you can test it with this button on the top right. But what it does is that every minute, I believe, it is checking whether something happened in Pipedrive. So let's try. I have here a custom, a dummy deal, and I already did some tests. So hopefully also this time it works. So this is Pipedrive, and in this you can, yeah, say this is my lead, but I will add an activity for this lead. So call customer uh, uh, as follow up. A bit strange activity name, but okay. And I say I want to do that tomorrow, and I want to do that at a certain time. So all these things you can fill in. Now, this is I'm the owner of this activity, and I'm now gonna save it. So this should trigger, hopefully, this action, this trigger should be triggered, and then the actions should be taken. Uh, if I go back to my flows in Power Automate, you can also click here on your flow, and yeah, we have to wait probably a couple of seconds before something is added, but here you see the history of the times that it ran and when it did something. You see that it only takes 1 second to push the message to Teams and to save the records in Dataverse. So really, just like that, it's being done. I also am aware of these APIs, and I didn't investigate it further, but just for your information, there is an interesting tool called Postman. I know a lot of our consultants are using this, where you can store all these API keys and also automate yeah, processes with that, but have it all in one place. And because yeah, there's so many tools and so many APIs, you can lose track. And this is a much more advanced tool to retrieve also the keys, because in my case it's a static key, but you also have a lot of solutions where the key changes every hour or every day, and then you have to call the new key and then put that in the Power Automate trigger. Now, also that went too far for me. Eh? Probably it's me, but be
And I
aware that that
think,
also exists.
sorry to interrupt,
No problem.
Bjorn. I think Dean just added a comment in the chat. Like, I think you can create a connection reference, and then each user can apply
Oh,
their individual connection credentials when they use the same flow.
all right. Okay, that's an interesting one, Dean. Thank you. Now I will further investigate, but maybe yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah, I
for
think.
thinking with me. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
and I think, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. I hope it is Ohim. So yeah, he said like Dataverse is the new Microsoft name for CDM, which
Correct.
is the
Yeah,
legacy connector, I guess. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. At first they called it CDM or CDS, Common
yeah,
Data Services, Common
yeah,
Data Model, both were used. And
yeah.
yeah, because everything is currently in a verse. Eh? So also, I think I read yesterday from Ignite that also the metaverse and the dataverse are now going to work together.
Yes, yes,
So
yeah,
all these verses, right? You have to go with the flow also there. Let's call
definitely.
it first.
Yeah, sorry. You
So
can continue now.
correct. Yeah,
Just
that's
wanted to
correct.
read
But it's
few
the same.
comments we have got in the
Yeah,
chats
nice,
here.
nice that there are remarks, and thank you for thinking with me. uh, I just refreshed the screen, so that was a nice feeling of waiting for the trigger to be done, because now you see that 45 seconds ago Power Automate found out, hey, something happened in Pipedrive. Let me do that. And luckily it succeeded. I can also click on it to see the flow and yeah, how long it took and what he did. And you can click on it and you can see what he posted. So you see exactly the content of the actions that were done. So if it's for some reason not running correctly, you can here debug it and say, oh, I tried to fill this date field with a text or whatever. That's the reason. Maybe it broke my flow. So this is a nice debugging way, and you can watch it always to see. And I think you also can a message, by the way, if it is failed, you can automatically in email. Probably you can turn that on and off that notification, but so you made aware that something is not going correctly. Well, okay. Now, luckily this worked. What is the impact of that? Now, I would have expected now in Dataverse that then a record has been added. So let me refresh my Dataverse sales activity table. And hopefully at the top, there is a new activity for, yeah, there it is. Call customer as follow-up. So indeed, it has been pushed now to Dataverse based on something that I did in Pipedrive. Well, that's cool. Uh, so then I thought, okay, so I use now Dataverse and Power Automate. What about Power Apps? What would be nice to do there? Maybe I'm on the road and I don't want to every time go into the whole Pipedrive system. And this is actually a very common thing we also hear for our customers. Also, when people use Dynamics, for example, I have to load in Dynamics. It's taking a long time. Maybe my connection is not that good where I'm at, where I'm at the customer. Um, Maybe if I would just have a simple app where I see a list of all the activities and where I can add some remarks, where I can add, oh, wait a minute, make sure that you call this customer earlier, whatever. Because not only in a week time, no, but call them tomorrow because I think we should be on top of this. So that's my role as a director, maybe sometime to prioritize and say, hey, be aware of this. All our customers are important. Don't, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's continue. Um, so what about Power Apps? Well, what you can do, because I'm already in Power Apps, I can create an app here, create, and you see quite visibly there already Dataverse. So there's also a video there, but what it will explain, I will show you. So on top of a table of Dataverse, I can create my first default app to maintain that table. Now, let's try it. So this will take 30 seconds probably. I have to pick then which Dataverse or which source do I want to use. Now, in my case, I want to use this Dataverse. So here you see this premium, that also in Power Apps, apparently, this is a premium connector. Okay, I can choose a table. So I pick my sales activity. That's the Dutch name. It's almost the same. And I say connect. And now what it will do in half a minute roughly, it will create a very simple app. An app where I can browse through my table, my activities, but also where I can edit them. So here you see that he created a list of activities. It has a refresh button. It has a sorting button, which I can use. I think I have to press Alt to really use it. Yeah, see? So it's sorting the activities. Not really on date apparently, so probably I have to to change something there. I can add a new line in this Dataverse table also from the app now, and I can filter on it. Now you can preview it here on the top right. And how did I call my activity again? It was this screen. Oh yeah, call customer as follow-up. So here I can look for that. And you see here my new activity that I just created 8 minutes ago. You see it here. I can also go into it and maybe edit it. So I can say here, uh, tomorrow. And it will now update into Dataverse right away. I think even in the preview, I would guess. Let me double check. I didn't try it yet. So if I go to, oh yeah, then of course I have to create here. Yeah, I have to go back. So let me get out of this first. And I think back here. Oh yeah, save it. I can save this new app. Does it already have a name? Oh yeah, there it is. Sales activity app UK. Okay, save. Now this new app has been created. Now let's go back. Yeah, save. I just saved it. And now in the apps, I should see here my new app UK. And will it have now added also, even well, when I was in a preview, this new change in my activity name? So this is the time. Yeah, see, tomorrow. So also in the preview, it already did it. But normally you would run it here. So here you just click on the name, and then this is the real, and not the preview one, but the actual app. And you can publish it, of course, to share it with other people. But that I will do for another day. Um, so how do I get back now? Here. What you can also do, I can further edit it. And to be honest with you, Power Automate, I think from the tools that you have seen until now, is the more complex tool to start with even. I wouldn't even call it mastering it, but starting with it. because what makes it tricky is that you have here a whole hierarchy of elements, and these are in layers. And I'm a little bit familiar with design tools like Photoshop and such. Yeah, there you also have that. You have all these layers within a picture. Maybe in PowerPoint, you also have that a little bit, of course. You also have a sorting order. But and that's also the way the Power Apps work. So you have to be very aware, what element am I now looking at? Am I looking at a field? Am I looking at a gallery of items? Am I looking at the full screen? And all these levels have different options, which you see appearing on the right hand side. See? But you have also different screens. So this is my browse screen, but I also have an edit screen. And in this edit screen, I could add additional fields if I want. So let's try it. So I click open the edit screen and I go to the edit form, because that will open the option to say, okay, yeah, I see the data source is the activities, but I only see two fields. So in this default app you created, I only see two fields. But here in edit fields, I can say, no, I want to have additional fields in my edit screen because I added a remark field in Dataverse only. It's not coming from Pipedrive. I added it only in Dataverse with this new column functionality. So I want to be able to add a remark also there. Now you can configure that a little bit, but I think on default it's fine. And now we could use it already in the preview we saw. So let's let's go first to the browse screen. That's the easiest to start with. So, and then we say call customers follow up tomorrow. Uh, oh, oh yeah, yeah. Now I see the content, but as soon as I click on the edit, then also the remark is being. I think this is an excellent feed. Go, go, go. That's then the motivation I give to the salespeople. And then I can do the check mark here. And I don't see it here. So actually, I should also edit then this screen, right? So this is nice that you can preview it. And then you see, well, the detail screen then also should have this remark. Otherwise, I only have it in the edit screen, but I don't see anymore what I added. So there I also gonna add it. And yeah, see, now I see also here on this screen. So be aware that different screens have to be configured to do it. Now, why is this more complex than the other tools? Well, because you have a lot of options which are here, and you have a lot of code. And um, yeah, the funny thing is that in the marketing, Microsoft says low code, no code a lot. Although since last month they also have added pro code as as a part of the marketing, and I think that Power Apps has a lot of pro code because this looks still quite okay. But you see here already it starts to be a little bit okay. I do have to if I need to change it. Hmm, it's better to know some of this code. So for me, as someone who uses it not even on a weekly basis, this goes too far. This is, although I think when you really focus on it, you can learn it, of course, and it is a gradual process. But for me, that now, yeah, I tend to stick to the more standard things, I think. Um, but the possibilities are there, and that's the nice things about these tools, right? You can start with it quite easily, but there is a whole world of functionality that you can implement. I could add here a scanner functionality to scan the full room and make a 3D picture out of it, for example. Yeah, it's just a piece of code that you can embed in this app. Yeah, why not? Doesn't make sense for this app, by the way, but if you want, you can do it. Um, so what I showed you, I created an app. I can add some remarks. So also that is shown now, hopefully, in my Dataverse sales activity. Uh, oh yeah, this was the app. Sorry, I make a mistake. Here, Dataverse table. That's also added. Oh, in this way, you can gradually develop your solution. Basically, this is a solution. So here you see that my remark field has also been added to the table. Now, so I have a nice table. I've already in the past couple of days, I selected tens of activities. And I can now also present that in my Jeroen's sales activity monitor in Power BI. Because you thought, hey, when finally we're going to talk about Power BI, I thought this was a Power BI user group. Well, here it is. Finally, we're at Power BI. So within Power BI, also there they quite visible. They put Dataverse. I think since a year or so, they put this Dataverse button here. So if you click on it, and again, I'm already logged in my Office 365 account, so everything nicely is already connected. I like that. And here, right away, I see my Dataverse on Cat Responsive, and also here I can filter the list to also have the. Oh, that's a pity. See why it's not there. Oh, sales activiteit. So this is the code apparently, so without the space, of course. So this is the table. And I will get a preview and you will see again the same data in there that I showed you in Dataverse itself, hopefully. Now, yeah, there it is. So, and also there are a lot of columns there. These are all these default columns. So I think completely at the end, yeah, there I see some activities. Now let's load that. And of course, in Power Query, you can then change something. Now, it is a database, so here it will ask you, do you want to import the data or do you want to have a direct query? Let's do import for now. But you could also load multiple tables, of course, from this Dataverse. I'm now only loading one table for demo purposes, but I could also load the other tables, which maybe are filled in another way from an Excel sheet or from another system. I could use this whole Dataverse to basically define my own data warehouse, maybe. So here you see now a huge amount of columns, which of course in Power Query I normally would change, but I will save that step for now. So here I can see, okay, I see an activity description. So these are all the activities. I see the owners. Oh, what I can do, how many do I have per owner, for example? So do I also have an ID somewhere? Must be right. Owner ID. I think sales activity. I think this is the ID. I think, and because that's always the first column is the ID, the unique identifier. So let's change this into an count, and let's make it into a nice bar chart. All right. Okay. Here I see from myself and from Natasha how many activities were created in total. And this has been running for, I think, 1 day or something. So, Natasha, well done. A lot of activities done today. It was a busy day. And I can see also, of course, when has it been created. Created on. So here's my date hierarchy. For some reason, this is in Dutch, which is strange because my language in Power BI is in English. So why is this in Dutch suddenly? Weird. Okay, that's a side step, but year and day. Let's take the day and the month. Oh, year, month, day. All right, and let's do it like this, and let's do it like this. Okay, so here see, now it's not a surprise to me because, hey, like I said, yesterday I enabled it for Natasha. So now suddenly, because I don't do a lot of activity, of course, maybe I should do more. But Natasha followed up a lot of customers today, called them, sent them things. So well done. So if I click probably on this line, you see that most indeed are Natasha. And these are all my test cases. So now, great, right? So every time that something is happening in Pipedrive, push to Dataverse. Of course, I can publish this one and make sure that it also is refreshed. But this opens also all kinds of other opportunities. Maybe I say, well, I don't want to have it refreshed every 3 hours. I want to have it updated every time a new sales activity is added. I want to have a live monitor here where the sales activity is automatically updated and I see a line every minute. Oh, this is going to be so cool. Um, um, So I could also automate that maybe. I can use Power BI as an action also. Refresh the data set in Power BI. I believe is also an action I can do. So here I have it. See, so new step, Power BI, Power BI, add rows. I didn't prepare this. Oh, here it is. Refresh a data set, right? So here I can say, as soon as I publish this new dashboard, now it's in the workspace, get responsive, and the data set is Jeroen's sales activity monitor, and it's going to refresh every time that the activity is added. Nice. Eh? So this is what I like about Power Platform. It's relatively easy to start with it. Okay, sometimes I also get stuck with this API thing, with the code in the Power App. The Power App took me the longest to figure out a little bit how do I do things. But it didn't take me longer than uh, one hour, I think, to build a full solution. This is crazy, right? Who would have thought that 5 years ago you could create your own full solution in an hour? I think it's great. Um, so I have still some room for questions, or but uh, what I like and why did I show this ornithopter here? Well, you might recognize this. This is the design by Leonardo da Vinci, who now I don't know the years, but a long time ago, 1,000 years ago, or maybe I'm that. No, it's 16th century, right? 500 years ago. Um, he designed this that you can use yeah, with a sort of pedaling system. You could move the wings and then fly. This is what he designed. I read on Wikipedia that it was already there or 500 years before Christ. Someone made already a drawing like this. That was also quite okay. Didn't know that. But a lot of people thought for centuries this is nonsense. This will never work because how will you, as a human, create enough strength to make it fly? That will never work. A lot of, but in 1979, um, someone, yeah, I think his name is also Macready, thought, well, with NASA, let's try it. Let's try to do this, and they succeeded. They found a way, don't ask me the details, with a sort of a biking mechanism to to fly. Not sure whether the wings were flopping. I don't think so, to be honest. But it was a quite similar design. Yeah. And why am I saying this? Well, because maybe a company like Boeing says we are the only one that can create airplanes, and please give us some money and we'll give you an airplane. Well, with a tool like the Power Platform, a lot of these things you can do yourself. And with this design, this 500-year design, if you make it work in your own, yeah. So you think big, I want to fly, but with a prototype, with a lot of failing, yeah, you can scale up fast, create your own solutions, just like I showed you. Very minor solution, very small solution, but I created it within an hour, right? And that's that's uh, that's what I wanted to share with you. Um, Now I'm open for your questions if you have any.
So I don't see a question there, but yeah, there's a great comment from Dean actually. I think that's something he recently
Yeah,
discovered. So he wanted to share. Like you are limited to 8 refreshes per day in Pro and
yeah,
48 refreshes
correct.
per day in Premium. But if you
Yeah,
want to have more real-time activity monitoring, you can create a push data set in the Power
yeah,
BI service
yeah.
and then use Power Automate to add a
All right.
new row to the data set.
Yeah, yeah. Good addition. Yeah, I'm aware of those limitations indeed. I'm always wondering, what do you need to do in Automate to bypass that? But this probably is then indeed that way that Dean is explaining. Yeah, great. Thanks
Yeah,
for
I think
the
yeah,
additional
yeah,
remark.
Yeah, I think just wanted to share it because yeah, he said
Yeah,
like
of
he
course.
recently discovered that
Yeah,
trick.
yeah, but
So yeah, why not
that's what
share
the
it with
Power
you?
Platform is about, right? Discovering and
Exactly.
trying out new
Yeah.
things, and yeah, so that's the fun
So
thing
I
about it.
have a question for you, Jeroen. So
Yeah,
like I have been working mostly with Power BI for some time now, but like today in your session, you actually talked about integrating all these things together, like bringing Power App, Power Automate, Dataverse, Power Virtual Agent, and Power BI together, right, to get a complete solution. But
yeah,
but have you like ever experienced any kind of challenge while bringing these things together? Because I know that's why we call it as a Power Platform complete solution, because that's how Microsoft has designed it, so you can bring things together and achieve more. But how's your experience of bringing these things together? Like, do they really are easy to, I mean, understand and do things and learn basically, or
yeah.
sometimes
Like
you
like
can
I
end
said,
up issues?
I built this a couple of weeks ago, and when we were
Mhm.
doing a training, and people were wondering, but how do all these solutions? Because it can be quite confusing if you start as a new user when you start using Power Platform.
Yeah.
Okay, see all these new tools, and what
Mhm.
tool do I do use for what? So then I thought, now let's create this, just as an explanation. Okay, here you
Mhm.
can automate processes, and in my experience, it works perfectly. I can reuse elements from one tool in the other tool. And I think that Dataverse, like shown in this picture,
Mhm.
is at the center, because
Mhm.
yeah, that is where you store, where you retrieve data. Uh, but all the other tools, I think, perfectly work together. Does it work with any third-party
Mhm.
tool? Yeah, I think there is the challenge mostly because, in from my point of view, and maybe people that are watching, what are you talking about? Because it's so easy using these APIs, but I think for the common user, that there at a certain point you will get stuck maybe a little bit because you think, hey, how can I now retrieve data?
Yeah.
And then the risk could be, what I hear a lot of at our customers, oh, we can't connect to that system. Let's download it into an Excel file. Let's put it on a SharePoint every day. And that is, of course, suboptimal because then you have again this manual step in there,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
always goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is something, yeah, we as a trainer also need to take into account. How do you really connect to the source data?
Yeah.
And make use of that instead of making these downloads, because
Yeah,
9 out of 10
definitely.
companies are still downloading files from operating systems.
Yeah, and
Operating.
I think I definitely agree on the point. Like whenever a manual step is involved in an
Yeah,
automated process somewhere, it is somehow going to break in future. I mean, you can sustain
yeah,
it maybe for some time, but maybe
yeah,
in future it will definitely break. So it's always good to
exactly.
take that manual part out of your process, because you are
Yeah,
using different kind of platforms and solutions to bring together and automate a system or process in a company, right? And if you bring in a manual step, it may just break things. So yeah, it's always good to go
yeah,
with the automated.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
think that's the tricky thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, you have to keep a little bit updated on all the things that are changing, right? Because it changes every day, and currently Ignite is
Definitely.
going on, and they announce
Yeah,
again new
so
things,
many
and
new things. Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, like I know more about Power BI because I work with it. Like every month they release so
yeah,
many updates, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with the speed they release those
true.
updates. Like I mean, like how should I know everything there, right? So and I'm sure
It's
things are
already
similar
difficult
with
for Power BI,
for
let
and I'm
alone for
sure,
all the
yeah,
tools.
exactly, and I'm sure it's tough for Power Automate or Power Apps
Yeah,
as well, because they keep on bringing those updates, right? So
correct. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's definitely a challenge to
It
keep
is,
yourself
yeah, I think
updated.
for everyone. Yeah. Nou ja. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this session. Thank you for inviting me. And now again, to plug my own channel, if you are interested in more about Power BI, yeah, please follow me. I'm aiming for the 1,000, just like your user group, because we're pretty close, with the you're also at 860, 850 or something, So we're
Yeah,
both aiming for
I
this
would say
1,000, of course.
definitely go and follow Jeroen, because yeah, the way he has presented today, I think he has got great content on his channel. So
Yeah.
please go and follow him.
And follow also the
Definitely.
user group UK, of course. Don't forget to subscribe and to put the
Definitely.
little bell on so that you get notified when there is a new episode, right?
Thank you so much, Jeroen, for that.
Yeah, you're
So
welcome.
yeah, thanks, Jeroen. I think I don't see any more questions, but yeah, I really like that people who are actually putting comments about like what they have learned and what kind of tricks they have come up
Sick.
with.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time today, because I myself enjoyed this session, like how you took everything from the Power Platform and brought those things together in a single solution. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking out time to speak at Microsoft Power BI UK user group today for us. And I look forward to hosting you sometime soon again in future, whenever you have some time availability for us. So thank you so much,
Sure.
Jeroen.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
So thanks everyone who joined us today at the Microsoft Power BI UK user group session. And if you guys really want us to bring the right content based on like what your likings are and in which area of Power BI you love more contents, then please don't forget to fill the feedback link that I have posted in the chat, because these kind of feedbacks only help us in bringing the right content to you. So thank you everyone once again, and we look forward to seeing you next week again for another amazing session on Power BI. Thank you. Have a great evening and bye for now.